Hi, this is Paul Taylor from Truckers Justice Center once again. In our last video, we talked about certain things that are involved in contacting an attorney with respect to having a whistleblower lawsuit. In the case of truck drivers, which is the majority of our whistleblower lawsuits, although we've handled cases for pilots and environmental whistleblowers, they're usually calling us off the telephone. And last video, I talked about the kind of information that I would like to have when you initially call our office. Usually, just screening a case to see if there's something more that we need to discuss should take no longer than about a 10-minute phone call. At that point, I know whether or not we should proceed and have further investigation. It's at that point I'm going to tell you, or one of my staff is going to ask you, to get us some information supporting your claim. For example, if you've been blacklisted based on employment references, we're going to ask you to find out what your DAC report says, which means getting a copy of your DAC report by going to hireright.com. We don't really want to know what some third party, some other trucking company is telling you what's on your DAC report. We need it. We want to see a hard copy of it. Other things that we would like, for example, if you were fired, you think, because you refused to break the hours of service regulation, have your logs for us. Other things that are very helpful that we're going to want in screening your case to see if it's one that we think is viable is we would love to have copies of Qualcomm records. So in this day and age, if drivers are communicating with Qualcomms, and you all have, or most of you anyway, have cell phones, or you probably wouldn't be watching this video, take photographs of Qualcomms. If you told your boss, your fleet manager, that you couldn't legally make a run because you didn't have hours, that should be done on the Qualcomm or text messages, and take photographs of those things. Those are things that we're going to want to screen your case before we write it up. If there's an issue with respect to equipment, and you put the truck in the shop and the company, for example, is refusing to repair a leaking wheel seal or hub seal or some other problem, take photographs. So those are the things that we'd like to have. So if you pass my initial 10-minute screening as to whether you have a case or not, then we want documentation. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. But if you have it, get it to us so we can decide whether or not you have a viable case. So there's a lot of things that go up to from the time, we first talk or you send an inquiry to our website until we even make a decision whether or not to take your case. So at some point there's going to be a longer interview with you after you provide us documentation and some detail that we'll discuss on the next video. Thanks, and have a nice day, and be safe out there.